I am doing something a little different today. And the reason I'm doing things a little different today is because I want to show you what perfection is not. So, I record typically in another room and I have amazing lights and I look really professional and I'm still wearing professional clothes under this, but y'all, it is cold outside. So, with all of this in mind, I decided if I'm going to do a podcast, which I just recorded, and a YouTube video all on perfection and what it isn't, I'm going to show up the way I am. So, my message really doesn't matter about like the clothes I'm wearing, right? And I want you to know that, right? I have some lights on me so you can see me, but the background shouldn't matter either, right? Now, again, I want to show up as perfectionist for you normally, but today I just want to show you that none of that matters. So, I have worked for technical companies in the past, and what I want to share with you today is how perfection can get in the way of pretty much anything in your life and how we confuse being detail oriented with being a perfectionist. So, if you work for a technical organization, you know it's all about cutting edge, staying on top of trends, and pushing things out as fast as you can. But there's a line, right? Because if you push things out too soon, then they're not well thought out and you could actually break the system. I've been a part of that. Thank goodness I do not write code. But if it's not well thought out and there isn't some detail orientedness in it, then you can shoot yourself in the foot by doing things fast, right? But at the same time, if you keep things in a perfectionist bubble and you keep working on them and you keep working on them and they end up in a vacuum, if you will, and no one gets to play around with them, your customers don't get to see it, then you actually fall behind in a completely different way. So, how do you stay detail oriented while also not falling in the perfectionist trap? Here's what I will tell you. I read an amazing book by Daniel Pink, and it's all about when. So, when you do something matters, right? And it's all about timing. The entire book was about timing. And one of my favorite things that I read in there was something called a pre mortem. And this pre mortem is exactly what will keep you detail oriented without going down the perfectionist trap. So, I'll give you an example. If you are in the midst of wanting to launch something new, let's say it is a podcast, right? So you want to put together a podcast. Let's, in this pre mortem world, talk about what could go wrong, because that's exactly what you do. So, in this world, what could go wrong? Um, the file that I upload doesn't work, right? So it just doesn't work at all. Well, then it probably wouldn't get out to people. So nobody would hear it. So let's go back another step. You record something, but the sound quality is terrible. So you know you're going to need a microphone, right? You're going to need a microphone to show up as best as you can. Now, what's something else that would make people not listen to you? Not being prepared, right? So you're going to want to take notes. You're going to want to have an outline of what it is you're actually saying. And then people are going to need to find you, right? So you're going to need to find a platform to host your information on. And some sort of picture to upload doesn't have to be perfect, but a picture so that people know what the podcast is and who's associated with it. Y'all, that's it. That's all you need. Now, there are 100 other things, right? How do you get people to it? And what if it's not perfect? And what if you stumble and all these other things? But does that affect the actual end result? So, if you were working for an organization where you were writing code, what would be the question that you would ask? What could break existing functionality? I have been a part of launches where they rushed new code in the system, and the problem was they broke existing code. And the reason they broke existing code is because when they ran it through QA, they didn't tell QA exactly what they had done and what they were trying to fix and what the ramifications could be. QA is only as good as the instructions they're given and the knowledge they have. They can keep testing forever and ever and ever. You have to give them parameters and you have to communicate. So, in that way, what are you trying to fix? What are you afraid to break? How well is QA informed so that they can test it before it gets to customers' hands? Also, are you wanting to solve world hunger? Or are you just wanting to get a smaller solution in your customers' hands so that they can partner with you to make this better? So maybe you also need to communicate to those customers about what's coming, what you're doing, and how you value their feedback. We just took technical launches that should be detail oriented and we simplified it into an actionable plan. So now that you know this, and you know that nothing in your career will be perfect, no launch will be perfect, I want you to pull the trigger. Ask the questions, listen, learn, do your pre-mortem, and then do the work and get it out into the world. Because the best technology and the best laid ideas only work when people see them. Stop trying to be perfect.